A very warm welcome this week to our perspective-altering show, where we offer you ways to access more robust well-being and also to nurture in yourself your highest levels of energy, vitality, and freedom from sickness and disease. I'm Liz Gunn. Today, Dr. Bruce Lipton explains the importance of food and relates that to his days of doing stem cell research, when it was essential to have a top-quality, nutrient-dense environment in the petri dishes in order to have any hope of growing healthy stem cells. Your body is no different. And of course, your physical health is linked to your brain chemistry. We learn about a powerful method to support a healthy mind using biophotonic lights with John Coombs. In addition, John will explain the cell well-being test, which will give you a full report of the current state of your health from a simple hair follicle test. And to support you in your food buying decisions, we discuss food in the field with Adrian Barkla, Bruce Hopkins, and healthy food proponent and chef Peter Chaplin. But let's begin today with Bruce Lipton, to whom we spoke earlier. Bruce Lipton, lovely to have you back to talk this week more about very day-to-day things that affect every one of us, and that's our food, our vitamins, our mineral uptake, and how we can create health and therefore more alert beings on this earth, one by one, each one of us taking responsibility. Talk to me about your views on that, Bruce.
Well, there's a very important understanding about cells live in an environment. I mean, there is an environment. Cells live inside your body. And I say, well, what's the environment that cells live in? Well, being a person who grew cells in tissue culture, I had to learn about the composition of the environment.
Because you were a geneticist?
I was doing research on stem cells.
Stem cell researcher.
And I'm growing cells in a plastic dish. Well, how do you take cells out of a body and grow in a plastic dish? And the answer is you try to provide the environment that was in the body, in the plastic dish, so that the cells are at home. I said, well, what environment am I trying to create in a plastic dish? And the answer is, well, wherever the environment of the cells are. And I go, well, inside my cells are like fish. They live in an aquarium. That's why if you cut yourself open, fluid comes out, because cells live in fluid. So I make a fluid that cells live in. It's called culture medium. And I go, yeah, but what do you make culture medium, what composition is culture medium? I go, whatever organism I get the cells. If I'm growing human cells, I go to the human body, take some blood out, look at the composition of the blood, and try to make a synthetic version and put that in a plastic petri dish so the cell feels at home. If I grow mouse cells, I look at the composition of mouse blood. So the culture medium is the synthetic version of blood. I say, well, then in growing the cells, I really, try to make the best culture medium I can get, which I tell the audience. I said, first of all, number one, I don't buy my ingredients at Kmart. I buy the very best ingredients to make the most wholesome blood equivalent in the body, because this is the vitality of cells. It's the environment they live in. If you live in the world and put all kinds of toxic things into your system, industrial farm produce with all the toxins that they spray on these things. Yes, I'm eating food, I'm also eating all the toxins with it. The amount of sugars that we have in our system, it's completely an abnormal understanding in the body to have that much sugar. Until we did farming as an agriculture, as an industry, there wasn't really any sugar for people to eat. I mean, fruit, which is nature's sugar, but that was only a short period of time, and you could eat that fruit real quickly because it's not going to be there very shortly anyway. Then we buy all this sugar, and then we start to find out this is completely abnormal. But if you start putting it in your body, your body gets, remember, everything is in harmony, balance, ecosystem. It's all in balance, inside and outside. If I throw the inside out of balance, then my cells are not living in harmony. Cells in harmony, by definition, are cells in health. Cells in disharmony are the precursors of disease. So the first thing is this: what am I creating as an environment for my cells? Meaning, what am I putting in this system? Well, there's food, nutrition, and elements like that. And I say, well, good. Now look at what's out there and what's available, and I can tell you some of these things are really good because they're grown organically and in a natural way. Some of these things are not good at all. Chemicals added, additives of all kinds, sugar added beyond belief.
Can I just pick you up there? If you put those sorts of things into a petri dish, preservatives and some chemicals from the vegetables and maybe a bit of sugar, how would that cell
You
look?
would have dead cells. Simple as that. I wouldn't even argue. I just tell you right now, you start putting those elements into the culture medium, you're going to stunt the growth of cells and they'll actually begin to die.
And that's what millions of humans are doing every day with the foods they eat every day.
Billions.
John, that's a huge part of your practice.
Well, this is why we test. One of the first things we do is test people. And we're using epigenetic testing equipment these days, Bruce, from the hair follicle to itemise which foods people are reacting to, which vitamins and stuff like that. And we're giving a food prescription to take away with that. We're also giving them advice on the EMFs and various toxins.
Oh, yeah, that's a non-physical element as well. That's very important. So it's really important because what you're doing is saying, I want you to create the best culture environment for the 50 trillion cells in your body, and therefore your culture medium has components, things that you need to boost to make the culture medium complete, and things you need to remove because they're altering it. So this is specifying a recipe to create the most healthy environment for cells.
Exactly. Based on epigenetic science and forensic testing. Then we can put our energy into helping people manage their cultural and social environment, their thoughts, their emotions, relationships and things like that. So we've isolated that aspect of down to a very specific way of dealing with the situation quickly and inexpensively. And we then start to treat the soul, the mind, the emotions of the person. And because many people come into my room, Bruce, and they're in tears in the first 15 minutes.
Why is that, John? Because they're
suffering.
The imbalances in the
because
body.
they're suffering. So they want help with their nutrition and things like that, of course. That's natural. But deep down they're suffering, they're hurting. And the fatigue's wearing them down and the job they're doing that they don't like. So again, having dealt with the vitamins and minerals very quickly, we can then move on to the other aspects of the pain they're dealing with, or the fear that Bruce raised earlier on.
So Bruce, would you say it's very hard to be a happy human being in an unhealthy body? Is it as fundamental
Oh,
as that?
absolutely, because your cells there's feedback. You know, okay, I'm sending information to my cells about the world in which I live, so they can adjust their biology to allow me to survive in the world in which I live. The cells send information back to the body. And they're trying to say, if you're doing something right or you're doing something wrong. They are telling you. These are called symptoms. Now, a very interesting aspect about symptoms is, unfortunately, conventional science, the one I was teaching in medical school, was a patient comes in, they got a symptom, and you say, oh, well, let me help you eliminate the symptom. And I say, well, there's your problem. Because the symptom is generally not the problem. The symptom is the cause of a problem. The symptom is like on the dashboard of your car, a little service engine light comes on, a little red light, says service engine. It's a symptom. Something's wrong with your car. Does that mean, change the light bulb? No, that's the symptom telling you. If you deal with the light bulb and shut off the light bulb, put a masking tape over service engine, now you say, oh, I'm healthy again. Look, no service engine light. I go, that's really cool, except for the fact that was not the problem. So when we have issues in our biology and we get a symptom, canceling the symptom, I have pain. Oh, take a pain pill. It's like, yeah, you have pain for a reason. and it's the body talking to you about not using this part at this time because it's damaged. And yet we say, well, it's interfering with me, so I'll take a pain pill and then I won't notice it. And I say, now what are you doing? Damaging it worse.
But Bruce, this requires taking responsibility. It requires listening to our bodies. You can't ask this. This is the key, isn't it?
Because
we have to grow up. We have to be mature about how we...
We program people not to be responsible. Yes. And so their daily life is an understanding of, I'm not responsible for these things. I'm a victim of circumstances of the environment. I'm a victim of the genes that I got, but I didn't pick them, so I have no responsibility there either. And therefore, when we do that, what are we doing? You want to know the simple bottom line is, when you tell a person they're a victim, you're telling them they're powerless. And when they're powerless, then whatever I do is irrelevant. Oh, well then what I do is not, I can do anything.
So
Why?
I can be irresponsible. And a lot of this is dealt with in this wonderful book, Spontaneous Evolution, Our Positive Future. But we will be talking to you again next week. Thank you, Bruce Lipton.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
John Coombs is part of this program as executive producer because he has a very clear health goal and vision. The reason I wanted to do this program with you, John, was because you offered a completely different vision. It was from pre-birth to old age, having maximum health. We are not trying to take on the medical professions and what they do. We are trying to say, if you have a level of health and know that it's not the best level of health that you could have, watch this program and listen to what we have to offer, because there is another level to go to. Way better, isn't there?
No matter what level of health you're in right now, you can improve it dramatically. It's about lifestyle and just well-being principles. From breathing to eating, to sleeping, to exercise, to how you think, how you sleep. And they all go hand in hand. And as you improve with each and every one of them, you improve with all of them.
Can very quickly turn the Titanic around.
Well, again, when your brain's functioning effectively, one of the things that we've been pioneering is the light system, biophotonic lights. This is programmed by a man who has medical training. His parents were both doctors. He now works running retreats that have a lot to do with being able to manage stress very effectively through retreats in Thailand, highly trained in yoga and meditation.
What does biophotonic mean? What does that stand for?
It's light, but bio is just around the system's biology, so it's how light impacts on our system. So we all know about photosynthesis, but we rely on the sun as well. So vitamin D, for example, is something that you increase your levels of vitamin D with sun exposure. But it's way more than that. It stimulates every single cell in your body at a photonic level. So we know about electrons. Photons are just similar to electrons. They're very, very tiny particles high in energy.
And how do they get stimulated?
Well, again, this is quantum physics, and we don't really have the scope in this show to go deeply into physics. But
it's science-based.
Einstein wrote a theory called E equals mc squared, which shows the relationship between energy, matter and light. Most people don't understand it, and they don't understand how it applies to biology, but I assure you it does. And this is the new fields of quantum psychology, quantum biology, quantum medicine. Deepak Chopra's written some good books on this called Quantum Healing. So this system here, it uses flickering lights, flickering white light to entrain. It activates the pineal gland and starts to stimulate production of healthy brain chemistry. People are going to sleep more effectively. They're going to rest more effectively. They're going to have a lot more mental clarity, because basically it's a brainwave entrainment. So most people are stuck in that fight or flight, and they can't get into delta phase during sleep, so their brains aren't repairing. So we've got these radical new brain diseases, from young children with ADHD type diseases through to autism, which has gone from one per 10,000 up to about 1 per 65.
And then Alzheimer's for older people
with Alzheimer's and dementia and Parkinson's. So we already heard from Dr. Darryl Turner about the effect of the thyroid gland in some of these brain chemical reactions, and it relates to so many of the other hormones in the body. So the information primarily travels up the body and towards the brain. 80% goes up, the rest goes down. So most of the information in the body is going up towards the brain. You then rely on a brain making good quality decisions and sending the messages back to the rest of the body to respond to various stress reactions.
In order to make those top quality decisions that will support you in having a long and happy and healthy life, I asked John to explain the information in the wall chart in his clinic, which is the key to all-round health. John, you've talked about the cell wellbeing test. It's a key to finding out what's going on, but can you tell us what these indicators are all about for each customer who comes in?
Well, you can see the blood listed this way, Liz, but here as well. And the size of the vector, so there's the vitamins, the amino acids, the antioxidants, essential fatty acids, which are omega oils, EMF, which are things like Wi-Fi, microwaves, cell phones.
Electromagnetic frequency EMFs, yes.
Yep. Food at an epigenetic level, microbiology.
Explain that, food at an epigenetic level?
Well, food that's taking more energy to digest than you're gaining benefits from. And that means it's a deficit. You're going backwards eating that food.
So eating a high sugar diet might be giving me poor nutrition, but taking a lot to break down in my body.
Well, that's at the very basic level. There are some foods that we suggest you avoid for 90 days.
Right.
Then the microbiology, which is parasites, viruses, bacteria, etc., post-viruses. Minerals, we all know about the minerals. And then the toxins, that could be radiation, it could be chemicals, or it could be metals.
So we get this wonderful graph, but how? What happens when I come in for a cell wellbeing?
Okay, well all is involved. We take a hair follicle, scan it off to the supercomputer in Germany, and they rationalise that and put a really easy to read digital section of graphs together, which as you can see from this one here.
Just from my hair, you can analyse all of these indicators?
Not just the hair, it's the follicle. There's a lot of rich nutrition running through the follicle of the hair. It's very close to the brain, and the brain needs the information coming from the body.
It's extraordinary.
So you've got cerebral fluids and whatnot in this general area. And then it breaks down, and all of these are broken down to their own graph, prioritising. So you can see from this just how important the system is.
And each person's graph will be very different.
Completely different, and from one set of tests to the next. So we may retest a month later. If they haven't been following the program, we can see straight away.
So somebody who's sitting over computers all day long might have very high vector on this EMF.
Extremely high, extremely high. It could be the Wi-Fi level, the computer monitor, or people are sleeping with these in their bedrooms.
So you can see the effect of that. And of course, we all need to look at our antioxidant levels, our vitamins and mineral levels.
Yep.
How do you sort it when there are so many issues coming through on this test?
Well, we start with the priorities, and you can see here where it's prioritised. Anything with a P means priority. Anything with an A is an advisory level. So the number one priority of this person is the vitamins. Number two is their food. Number three is the EMF, and we start off at those levels. So the food, of course, obviously we're recommending things like drinking lots of water and taking digestive enzymes and probiotics as well.
And then you can, as you say, analyse again in another month or so and keep a running tally of how people are doing.
We use as an introductory test, and then we'll look at things like the hormones and oxygen levels after this.
Thank you, John.
All right, well, thanks to Adrian Barkla, who's the owner of New World here in Remuera. I'm going to go in there and check out what I should be buying based on the results of my cell wellbeing test. And it's really cool to see them come back, so let's find out what they mean.
So Adrian, each New World around the country is run by a separate businessman, if you like, but it's in conjunction with the overall body, is that right?
Yeah, the cooperative is called Foodstuffs, so all the New Worlds and Pack and Saves are independently owned.
But it's very New Zealand based.
Yeah.
And yet you can have your own specific vision. It's up to you what you do with this.
We're encouraged to set the store up to the demographics that we live in.
And you have a vision to me that feels like it's ahead of its time. It's got something that's a little bit different. Tell me about that, because I'm standing right in front of a huge organic section.
Yeah, well, as you can see, I mean, we try and get as much as we can. I mean, I like organics myself. I mean, there's so many poisons and toxins in fruits and vegetables. So, I mean, so I'm just trying to drive the market.
Yes.
To fit in with my beliefs, and evidence is all around the world. Like America's like 20 years ahead of New Zealand in the organic movement. So people are ready for it, and to do it, we've got to, we deal with the independent growers, try and get them the confidence to grow more vegetables. We try and pay them a little premium if we can, and just be nice to them so that they're encouraged to grow more and more.
And I love that support for New Zealand growers.
Yeah.
I heard, in fact, someone told me the other day in China, with the growing middle class and the wealth there, the demand for organics is going through the roof. It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, people are sick and tired of getting sick and tired, and they're starting to link it to the food that they're eating. So, no, there's a big movement out there.
So if we look at this section, what would you love to see? This be the predominant section in 20 years, the organic section being the main part of it?
Well, if I could myself, I'd be 100% organic. If we could get the supply, I'd be 100% organic.
And do you think it would sell in this area?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if we can, as more people grow it, it's going to come down in price as well, because all the dynamics change. So.
Wonderful. Wonderful vision. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thanks, Adrian.
John's not around, I can't help myself with objects like this. I think it's part of my genetic makeup.
Okay, Bruce, I've got the trolley now. So we're working off your meal list now. This is the foods you've been recommended to eat.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get organic where we can, and they get a good range in this shop. They've really made a lot of effort to get organic. So this is a very good brand here, Lawson's. I know the grower. You can rely on this food here.
Cool.
And as we move down here, look, there's some organics. Some kumara, some organic gala apples. You want to choose some of the apples?
Ginger's on the list, isn't it?
So what we're doing here, Bruce, obviously with this,
Is that the same brand as that one?
Yep.
Oh,
yep. True Earth, curly kale, on your list here.
Oh, curly kale.
No, we want a balanced variety of greens, because they've all got different nutrition in them.
I've always been on, well, for many years, I've stick with the free range.
Here we go, look.
Oh,
Boss stock
here's a
chicken,
Boss stock.
organic chicken. Okay, now let's get on to your nuts and seeds. Your omegas are very good, but let's aim for some organic olive oil and organic buckwheat. So this is the organic section, as you can see. Here we go, there's a beautiful quinoa for you. Do you like tamari? It's a nice flavour.
Yeah, do like the tamari.
Organic friends, yep. Okay.
Organic pavlova. And the dark chocolate, wasn't it?
So these are good fast foods for you. Rather than go to a takeaway bar and getting your fast food.
What about things like a coleslaw?
Coleslaw's fantastic. Very, very good food for you, but ideally you want to be going for food that's fermented as well.
What about things like olives and stuff? Are they kind of okay?
Yep, absolutely. So is there anything else you can think of out of your list here? Some spirulina. We're going to head over to Peter Chaplin's later on, and he will show you how to prepare some of this food. Three of the main factors in modern life are sleep, fatigue, and immunity. We've got Chrissy in the Hocat at the moment. It's going to help you, Chrissy, with the fatigue you've been experiencing, help you sleep tonight, improve your immunity. Added benefits is it's going to actually help you improve your skin quality and anti-aging. If you'd like to go in the draw for this, go onto our Facebook page and follow the instructions.
So Bruce, we're here with your cell wellbeing tester show, Peter Chaplin, and to talk about the foods that are good for heart health. But Peter, I really want to start with you just briefly, before we get to Bruce, your background and your interest in the beautiful foods you're preparing here.
My background on a personal professional level of food is I became a vegetarian before I became a chef, but I really, really wanted to be a chef. So I started off in French Nouvelle Cuisine, which is where my standard comes from, and then as we moved through my career, nutrition and health and well-being were the benchmarks for me to do anything with food, and regardless of what it was, teaching, cooking, serving, it was always with a message, it was always educational, and it was always saying to people, it can be this good.
And in the early days, you were almost, there were a lot of doubters, weren't there? You were almost in the vanguard. You were far ahead of your time on that. Food is your medicine.
Absolutely. That, as we briefly said before, you are what you eat. It might sound dated, it might sound cliched, but you are what you eat. And if you want to look after yourself and you want to maintain your health and carry it all the way through your life, which you should be able to do, eat great food, eat fresh food.
Let's have a little look at the foods we've got in front of us, because something you said to me just off air, which was beautiful, was you can still eat all this food because this is the kind of food you are always committed to. There's no gap between what you feed yourself and what you offer the public.
Not at all. Musical Knives in its touring form of rock and roll is exactly the same, in its restaurant form is exactly the same, and in its teaching form. It was me trying to show people food and say to them that you can do this yourself. You don't have to be a chef, you don't need to be highbrow about it. This is common food for common people.
The rock and roll reference was you cooked for Madonna, and now you're going to help
I want to cook for Bruce.
a Lord of the Rings star. So let's say, Bruce, what are the big things you're worried about when it comes to preparing foods?
Kind of my downfall is preparation, dedicating myself to just doing the preparation. Every time I do take the time to do it, it's like, oh, that didn't take long at all. But also then what I see with what you've done here, and you explained a couple of the dressings, you know, the way you spice up the taste, because that's what I get the olive oil out and go, how do I make it taste okay?
Well, you've explained that off air. Can you do that on air? Because we want to hear what you've put in here.
Okay, so legumes, for instance, one of the absolutely essential foods.
Which is one of the ones I need to boost myself on too.
Absolutely, and this is a beautiful, beautiful South American butterbean lima bean dish that's got roasted olives, red peppers, red onions through it, carrots, balsamic vinegar, lots of olive oil, and fresh coriander.
And simple, not hard to.
Not hard at all. You mean your options are you either buy the beans that someone's already cooked for you and start from there, or you buy the beans raw and soak them overnight and cook them. But the rest is simple.
And like just looking at that, I doubt I could eat half that and not be totally full.
If you ate half of that, Bruce, I'll be amazed.
Yeah.
You'd have to have been starving for 2 or 3 days.
So as opposed to having to pig out with things like,
all you would need from this, is 2 or 3 spoons of this combined with a grain, with the rice, and there's a whole complete little protein.
And a lot of the fast foods, people need to eat more because the body's saying this food is just empty calories, it's got no vitamins, it's got no minerals in it. Yeah. Give me more food.
I mean, there are signs in your body that when you do eat food, it tells you that you've eaten enough food. And if you're not eating the right food, those signals are not going to go off at all. And people will keep eating, and then they completely break down that system within their body. You know, I mean, you shouldn't be eating a lot of food.
But if you have high nutrition, high quality, vitamin-filled food, your brain registers, I'm pretty full, as you're saying.
That looks so amazing, eh?
And so can you tell us about some of the other salads, Peter?
Yes, certainly. We'll start off with this lovely little beauty here, and this is Japanese inspired, but all this really is blanched vegetables. Fresh vegetables that have just been blanched, then plunged into ice water to stop them cooking any further, which keeps their nutrition, keeps their texture, and keeps their colour. And all I've done is tossed it in some roasted sesame seed oil with roasted sesame seeds and then grated lemon zest into it. It's just a fresh salad. Beautiful colours, beautiful texture. So blanching is, I mean, you drop your flowerets of broccoli into your rolling boiling water, just enough to cook it, pull it out and plunge it into ice water, and it snaps it shut. Wow. Right there it stops it. So it stays green, it stays crunchy, and it keeps that nutrition.
And the beautiful fresh colour tells us how full of vitamins and minerals it is.
Absolutely. I mean, pumpkin along with beetroot is probably the most important vegetable on the planet.
Really?
Why do you say that, Peter?
It just helps your body rebuild. In my third little creation here, this is a red cargo rice salad that's got cooked kumara through it, tomatoes through it, quite a bit of fresh coriander, and this is kind of like a Thai-inspired salad, and this is the base part of it. And in this little container here, what I have, this is fresh coconut. So those lovely little white coconuts that people juice and take the juice out of, I do that, and then I take the interior out, slice it all up, mix it in with the coconut yogurt and put lime zest through it, and then you place it on the top of the salad and then you mix that through.
It's making my mouth water.
Yeah.
And this is important because part of what's on your wellness plan, a lot of kumara, actually, a lot of kumara beans, lots more greens, lots more vegetables.
One of the inspirations for me and the driving force of becoming a chef and being interested in nutrition and health was that it's a human language, it's a human value, it's a human currency. And I'm so glad that I have a human input into what is my professional output. That is actually the real driving force for me of connecting with humans on that level.
So Bruce, do you feel you can do this at home?
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least give it a go, but totally, you know, just seeing this stuff. Man.
That's all right, Bruce. Just give me your address, I'm coming round. I'll bring my knives over.
And if not, Bruce, you can nip down to the supermarket and buy Peter's.
I want to become a chef just after seeing that.
Thank you, Peter.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Well, we're already at the end of the 4th episode. The highlights for me this week are that image from Bruce Lipton, that your symptoms of dis-ease in the body, those symptoms are not the problem, they're the message. Do you remember Bruce gave us that image of the car service light saying, service this car? Well, like that light, he said, your symptoms are telling you something's out of balance. Don't remove the light, don't suppress the symptoms. Instead, look at the whole state of the car or the whole state of balance of your body. I also like John Coombs explaining healthy brain chemistry. And what about that hair test with the follicle coming from so close to the brain and the cerebral fluids and therefore able to capture a snapshot of your body's state of well-being? Adrian Barkla said he'd take his New World Remuera franchise 100% organic if he could get the supply. So clearly the demand is there already for organic. And I love Peter Chaplin talking about why he became a healthy food chef. He sees food as a form of human language. Next week, join us to hear more from an equally passionate advocate for healthy food, Jason Sean Bennett. And also, we hear about heart coherence. So until next week, may you enjoy optimal health.